Hello students. So, this is the fourth lecture of our subject digital system design and today's topic is Boolean algebra. So, these are the contents of today's lecture. First we will be covering the Boolean laws, then coming to the logic gates and then representation of Boolean expression in two different forms, SOP and POS, sum of product and product of sum. And then in the end we will be relating various parameters which are being related to the Boolean algebra like truth table, min terms, max terms and how they are interconnected with each other. So, let us start with the basic Boolean laws. So, to start with we have properties of 0 in which we can see that 0 plus a, that means 0 if 0 is added to any variable then it remains unaffected, that means 0 plus a is equal to a. Similarly, 0 multiplied by a variable will make the product 0. So, 0 into a is 0. Then properties of 1. So, if I add 1 to any variable 1 plus a, then this a can have two values either 0 or 1. So, in any of the case 1 plus 0 or 1 plus 1 it will be equal to 1. So, that is why 1 plus a is equal to 1 and then 1 into a, something multiplied by 1, that variable remains unaffected, that means 1 into a will be equivalent to a. Then complementary law says as if the variable is added to its complement, that means x plus x bar, it will be 1. How it is possible? Because if x is equal to 0 then x bar will be 1, if x is 1 then x bar will be 0. So, in any of the cases either it will be 0 plus 1 or it will be 1 plus 0. So, in both the cases the output will be 1 and then x into x bar is equal to 0, that means either it will be 0 into 1 or it will be 1 into 0. So, in both the cases output will be 0. So, then coming to the idempotency law which says that a plus a is equal to a, that means any variable added any number of times, that means a plus a any number of times, the sum will be equivalent to a. How is it possible? Because if I add 0 n number of times then 0 plus 0 plus 0 will remain 0. Similarly, 1 plus 1 plus 1 any number of times will remain 1. So, that is why a plus a any number of times will remain a. Then coming to a into a, that means any variable multiplied any number of times it will also remain equivalent to a. Then next is the absorption law, a plus a b is equal to a. This is very simple, as you can see from here, if I take a common then it will be 1 plus b, okay. And this 1 plus b you can check from this property of 1 plus a will be equivalent to 1. So, that means it will be equal to a into 1, that is why it is equivalent to a. Then a into a plus b, it is also equivalent to a. For this we can open the brackets, a into a will be something like this plus a into b. This a into a, as you can check from here, from this point, a into a is equal to a. So, this becomes a plus a b and this a plus a b is similar to this thing which is equivalent to a. So, this is also equal to a. So, this is the adsorption law. Now, coming to the distributive law. Distributive law says that a into b plus c is equal to a b plus a c. Simply we have multiplied this a into b, a b, a into c, a c. Then a plus b c is equal to a plus b into a plus c. This thing can be proved also. If I multiply the right hand side, we can check that a into a will be equivalent to a into c will be equivalent to a c, b into a will be equivalent to a b and b into c will be equal to b c. So, if I take a common from these three variables, it will be a into 1 plus c plus b plus b c. So, this thing becomes equal to 1. So, ultimately it becomes a plus b c. So, in this way we have proven that distributive law is verified. This is the another form of this distributive law, a plus a bar b is equal to a plus b. As we can see that if I apply distributive law on this using this thing b part, so it becomes a plus a bar into a plus a bar into a plus b. So, this a plus a bar thing becomes equal to 1. So, 1 into a plus b is equivalent to a plus b. So, this is the distributive law. Now, coming to the involution law, x double complement is equal to x, that means any variable if it is double complemented then it becomes equivalent to the original variable. Then coming to the commutative law, a plus b is equal to b plus a, and A dot B is equal to B dot A. That means, two variables if they are to be multiplied together, order does not affect the actual result, we can add any of them first. So, associative law is also when three variables are there, A plus B plus C is equal to A plus B can be added first and then C can be added, and then B plus C can be added first and then A can be added. So, this is associative law. Similarly, this thing holds for the product as well. So, if three variables are to be multiplied, any two variables can be multiplied first and then the resultant can be multiplied with the third variable. So, A B into C will be equivalent to A into B C. Okay. So, this is associative law. Now, coming to De Morgan's law, De Morgan's theorem. De Morgan's theorem states that to remember this, you can remember a line or a statement, break the line and change the sign. So, this if I use this as the complement symbol, so this can be equivalent to, if I break the line and change the sign, so x plus y whole complement will be equivalent to x complement dot y complement. Similarly, this thing holds for this product version as well. So, x dot y whole complement, if I remove this and use this bar, so I can write it as breaking the line and changing the sign, this dot can be changed to plus. So, x and y. So, this is the De Morgan's theorem. Now, the principle of duality, it says that we can interchange and or operators and replace 0 by 1 and 1 by 0. That means, we can interchange ones and zeros and we can interchange and or operators, and by doing this, if the property still holds, then we can say that the expression is a dual expression. Like we can do this in any of these properties, like if you want to check for this one, if A plus 1 is equal to 1, then if I change this plus to dot, that means A dot and 1 to 0. So, A dot 0 is equal to replacing 1 by 0. So, A dot 0 is equal to 0, which is also perfectly valid. That means, this expression is the dual expression. Okay. So, these are the Boolean laws, and we can simplify this expression using these Boolean laws, as we can check that A into A bar will be equivalent to 0, A into C will be equivalent to A C, then A bar B plus C into A bar B C plus C bar. So, this thing remains A C. Now, if I multiply this A C by this variable, this second multiplying the first bracket with the second bracket. So, A C into A bar B bar. So, A into A bar will become 0. So, this thing becomes 0, A C into C will be A C, then this is the resultant of this for these first two multiplication, and then A bar B into C into this thing. So, this is to be multiplied with A bar B C plus C. Okay. So, A C into again A C into A bar B C. So, A into A bar will again be 0, and then A C into C will be equivalent to A C. So, the resultant becomes A C. So, using these Boolean laws, we have simplified this expression into this very much simplified expression. So, now coming to the next topic, basic logic gates. There are total of 7 logic gates which are categorized as 3 basic gates are there, and, or, and not. So, this is a not gate, which is represented by this symbol triangle followed by a bubble. This triangle is actually a buffer symbol, and this hollow dot which is known as bubble. This bubble is responsible for inversion. So, this inversion will be done by this bubble, and this triangle is responsible for holding that value, that is the buffer action. So, this is the truth table for a NOT gate. If I apply a 0 at the input, I will get 1. If I apply 1 at the input, I will get a 0 at the output. That means, the output is getting the complemented version of the input, that means, y is equal to A bar. Similarly, I can move towards the second gate, second basic gate, AND gate. So, this is the AND gate in which the output of the AND gate will be high if and only if both the inputs are high or all the inputs are high. In this case, it is a 2 input AND gate. If it would have been 3 input AND gate, then all 3 input should have been high to get a high output. So, 1 into 1 is equal to 1. So, this one corresponds to the product of two variables A and B. So, this is the expression for AND gate and this is the truth table for AND gate. Now, coming to the OR gate. OR gate says the output will be high if any of the input will be high. So, this 0 plus 0, this is the only case where I will be getting the 0 output, because none of the input is high, and for the rest of the 3 cases at least one of the input should be high, must be high. So, that is why I am getting this 1 for the rest of the 3 cases, and this thing holds for any number of variables. If I prepare a 3 input OR gate, then this thing will be applicable to that 3 input OR gate as well. So, this becomes the expression for OR gate y is equal to A plus B. That means, either A or B or both should be high to get the high output. So, these are the 3 basic gates. Now, coming to the universal gate. So, this universal gate, this is a NAND gate. NAND gate is obtained by complementing the AND gate. So, an inverter has been applied at the output of AND gate. This becomes the symbol of NAND gate. So, the truth table, as we can also see, is the complemented version of the AND's truth table. So, we can check that in AND gate we were getting high output only if all the inputs were high. So, in this case, when all the inputs are high, we will be getting a 0 output, as we can see from this case. So, both the inputs are high. So, I am getting a 0 output, and for the rest of the 3 cases I am getting the high output. Now, coming to the NOR gate. NOR gate is a combination of your OR plus NOT, and the truth table says that if any of the input variable is high, we will be getting a 0 output. That means, the complement of the OR gate. So, these 3 cases you can check at least one of the input is high, that is why I am getting a 0 output. So, the only possibility to get a high output from a NOR gate is both the input should be low. So, 0 into 0 will 0 into 0, sorry 0 plus 0 will be equivalent to 0, and if I apply a bar on that using that NOR expression, I will be getting a 1. So, this is the truth table for NOR gate. Now, these NAND and NOR gates are also termed as universal gates. Why these are called universal gates? Because any other gate can be designed using these gates. That means, I can design a NOT gate, I can design a AND gate, I can design a OR gate, and 2 more gates are there, or I can design a NOR using NAND, I can designing a NAND using NOR. So, all these gates can be designed using NAND only or NOR only. So, that is why these 2 gates are termed as universal gates. So, some of these universal, to prove the universal nature of these NAND and NOR, some of the structures are shown here. So, A, if I club the 2 inputs of a NAND gate. So, this is a NAND gate. If I club these 2 inputs A and B and merge them into a single one A, like this. Now, both the inputs will be getting A. Okay. So, A into A, this will be equivalent to A into A complement. This is the expression for NAND gate, and A into A is equivalent to A. That is why I am getting y is equal to A complement. Okay. Similarly, I can check this structure as well. So, this will be giving me A B complement, and this is the similar structure. This is a NOT, this is actually a NOT gate, NOT in form of NAND. So, this NOT in form of NAND. So, I have applied a NOT gate at the output of a NAND gate. So, it actually recomplements the product operation, and I again get the y is equal to A dot B. That means, this bar is double barred and this bar and bar cancel out. So, I get y is equal to A dot B. Similarly, this is an OR gate expression. I can check from here that if this is a NOT gate, this is a, if we have already seen in the above structure that if I short the 2 inputs of a NAND gate, I will get a NOT gate. So, this is equivalent to A bar and this is equivalent to B bar. So, this structure A bar dot B bar whole complement. Now, we have to apply De Morgan's theorem on this expression. So, applying De Morgan's theorem, we will get A double complement, this dot changes to plus B double complement. So, these double complements are cancelled out. So, ultimately it remains A plus B, which is the expression for OR gate. So, this structure can be termed as OR gate. So, this is OR gate using NAND gate. So, in this way we have proved that NAND gate is universal. Similarly, similar structures can be designed for NOR gate as well. Now, coming to the XOR gate. XOR gate is the special case of your OR gate, in which we can see that for two input variables, if both the inputs are same, then I am getting a 0 output, and if both the inputs are different, that means 0 1 and 1 0, I am getting a high output. And the reverse of it is the XNOR. If both the inputs are same, I am getting a high output, and if both the inputs are different 0 1 and 1 0, I am getting a 0 output. But this same different thing by which we are writing the expression y or output y, it holds only for two inputs. So, if I am designing a gate which is having more than two inputs, then this similar and dissimilar thing is not valid. In that case, I have to check the number of ones. So, if number of ones on the input side are even, then the XOR will give me 0 output. So, in the first case you can see that number of ones are 0, in this case number of ones are 1, number of ones are 1. So, in last case number of ones are 2. So, this 0 and 2 are even. So, that is why I am getting a 0 output here, and this 1 is odd. So, I am getting a 1 output, high output here. Similarly, this XNOR is the complemented version of your XOR gate, in which there will be high output if the number of ones are even. Okay. So, these are the symbols for these XOR gate and XNOR gate, and these are the expression for these XOR and XNOR gates. Okay. So, these are the gates. So, we have covered Boolean laws, and then we have covered the logic gates. So, now coming to the representation of Boolean expressions. So, representation of Boolean expression. So, there are two ways in which we can represent a Boolean expression. Either we can represent it in form of SOP, or we can represent it in form of POS. So, SOP stands for sum of product, and POS stands for product of sum. So, while calculating the SOP, we will be calculating the products first. So, all those products are calculated first, and all the products are then added together to derive the SOP expression. Similarly, to obtain a POS expression, product of sum, that means first of all we will be calculating the sums, and all these sums will be multiplied together, that means they will be product, there will be product of these sums. So, that is why product of sum. So, these are quite simple examples of these SOP and POS expressions. As we can see that this is a product, this is also a product, and both these products are summed. Okay. So, this becomes the sum of products. Similarly, you can check that this is A plus B, this is equivalent to a sum, A plus C, this is also a sum, and both these sums are multiplied. So, this becomes product of sum. Okay. So, these are the simple representations of SOP and POS. So, canonical representations, if in an SOP and POS expression. So, these canonical expressions are very important. So, these canonical expressions says that if in any of these expressions, either SOP or POS, if the components in SOP, the components will be products, sum of products. If all the products in an SOP expression contain all possible variables, either in the normal form or the complemented form, that means there are two products in this variable. In this expression, y ABC is equal to AB plus AC. So, there are two products AB and AC, but none of these products is having all three variables. In the first product, I can see that C is missing, and in the second product, I can see that B is missing. So, this is not a canonical expression. Similarly, we can check the POS as well. In this, we can see that A plus B into A plus C. So, there is first sum, this first sum A plus B is not having C, and this second sum A plus C is not having B. So, this is also a normal POS, but not a canonical POS. So, these are non-canonical SOP and POS expressions, but the thing which is of more importance is the canonical SOP and POS, which can be directly related with the truth table. In the next topic, we will be covering that, but before going to that, we will be first seeing how to convert a non-canonical SOP and a non-canonical POS into a canonical version. So, for this we have left this space blank. So, this AB plus AC, I am doing this first conversion. So, AB plus AC, if I want to convert this non-canonical SOP into a canonical SOP, I have to identify which are the missing variables. So, in this first product, variable C is missing. So, I will be multiplying this A B into C plus C bar. Similarly, in this second product B is missing. So, A C into B plus B bar. Okay. So, if I multiply this, I will get A B C and A B C bar. Similarly, I can check here A C into B, A B C plus A C into B bar, A B bar C. Now, this A B C and A B C is getting repeated. So, I will eliminate one of the terms. So, I will be getting A B C plus A B C complement plus A B complement C. Now, I can see that there are 3 products and all these products are containing all the variables. So, this becomes my canonical SOP. Okay. Similarly, I can convert this non canonical POS into a canonical POS. A plus B. So, variable C is missing here. So, I will be adding C dot C bar to it. C dot C bar is actually equivalent to 0. So, I can add this, add is 0 to any sum. Similarly, for this second one, A plus C plus B dot B bar, and if I apply distributive law, this thing can be treated as x, this can be treated as y, this can be treated as z. So, x plus y z will be equal to x plus y into x plus z. So, this becomes equal to A plus B plus C, A plus B plus C complement, and this one A plus, I am writing in rearranged order. So, A plus B plus C and A plus B bar plus C. Now, we can see that all the sums are containing all the variables. So, this becomes the canonical POS version, but this A plus B plus C I will remove from here because this is getting repeated. So, I will remove this from here. So, this is a resultant canonical POS expression. So, in this way we can obtain canonical version from non canonical versions. So, now let us come to this next topic in which the truth table, min terms, max terms, canonical POS, canonical SOP, all these things can be interrelated with each other. So, there are 2 variables A and B, there are 2 input variables A and B. This y I have left it deliberately blank, it can have any values 0 or 1, the output can be 0 for any case, it can be 1 for any case. For the time being I have left it blank. So, the min terms is related to the product and max term is related to sum. So, this min term will be related with SOP based expressions and max term will be related with POS based expressions. So, it is also written here, individual term of canonical SOP is called min term and individual term of canonical POS is called max term. So, that product in a SOP expression can be termed as min term and that sum in a max term or a POS expression can be termed as max term. So, A, B both are 0. So, I have replaced 0 with bar version of the variable and 1 with non bar version of the variable. So, this becomes m naught is equal to A bar B bar. Similarly, A is 0, B is 1. So, m 1 is equal to A bar B, m is A is 1, B is 0. So, A B bar, and here I can see 1 1. So, this is not bar. So, this is equivalent to A B. Okay. So, these are the min terms. So, max term are the sum version. So, in this the replacement of variables in form of 0 and 1 will be interchanged. That means, if I have a variable which has variable equivalent to 0 value, so that 0 will be replaced by non bar version of that variable, and if there is a 1 as value associated with the input variable, I will replace it with a bar value. So, 0 0 that means A plus B, 0 1 that means A plus B bar, 1 0 A bar plus B, 1 1 A bar plus B bar. Okay. So, now I am feeding some output values here. So, I can feed any value, you can check if I feed 0 1 1 0. Now, in this case what will be the min terms and what will be the max terms. So, I can check that if I multiply this by 0 1 1 and 0. Similarly, for max term I will be adding these A plus B plus 0 plus 1 plus 1 plus 0. So, if I write these expressions a bar b bar into 0, it becomes 0. So, this also becomes 0. So, ultimately it becomes a bar b into 1 and a b bar into 1. So, ultimately the SOP expression is equal to a bar b plus a b bar. And similarly, for POS you can check that a plus b plus 0, that means 0 will remain unaffected. So, it remains a plus b and a plus b bar into 1, sorry, a plus b bar plus 1, 1 plus anything is equal to 1. So, this becomes 1. Similarly, this third row a bar plus b plus 1. So, again it becomes 1 and the last one a bar plus b bar plus 0. I am adding a 0 to anything if it remains unaffected, that means it will remain a bar plus b bar. So, ultimately it becomes a plus b into a bar plus b bar. Okay. So, this is the SOP and POS expression obtained from this truth table, and how these minterms can be numbered. This is the index 0 0 is equivalent to 0, 0 1 is equivalent to 1 in decimal, 1 0 is equivalent to 2, 1 1 is equivalent to 3. So, if I denote these terms by their positionals or their decimal equivalents, so I can check this column, I am having 2 ones. So, these 2 ones are at these 2 positions 1 and 2. So, this 1 and 2 become the minterms. So, 1 and 2 are the minterms, and this is the standard way to represent a minterm expression. Minterms means small m and summation. Okay. And for POS, POS are related to maxterms. So, that is why I have replaced this small m by capital M, and summation is being replaced by this pi. Okay. Pi represents product and m represents maxterms. Okay. So, where are the locations in the truth table where output is low? So, I can check that there are 2 positions where I am getting a low output, 0 and 3. So, this 0 and 3 becomes the maxterms. Okay. So, this 1 and 2 are the minterms and 0 and 3 are the maxterms. So, this is for 2 variable. Similarly, we can practice this for 3 variable as well. I have taken an example of this. So, there are 3 variables now a, b, c. So, it can have values from 0 0 0 to 1 1 1. Index can be represented by 0 to 7, and these are the minterms. Minterms we can write for any sample case. If you want me to write the minterm for this case, it is having 0 1 1, that means a is 0, that means a bar, b and c are 1. So, b and c. Similarly, if I write the maxterm for this, then the things will be complemented. Then this 0 will be treated as a and 1 will be treated as b bar and this one will be treated as c bar. So, this is the maxterm. So, in this way we can write any of these terms in form of their minterms and maxterms. So, similarly, if I want to write the index associated with these terms, I can check that there are 4 ones and the location of these are 2, 3, 5 and 6. So, these 2, 3, 5 and 6 are the minterms, and these locations 0, 0, 0, 1, 4 and 7. So, 0, 1, 4 and 7, these are our maxterms. So, with this we come to the end of this lecture. We can write minterms, maxterm for any variable truth table. Thank you very much.